Hey friends, namaste. Stormy Calder here. Welcome to part 2. In this video, I'm going to tell you a bit about my personal authentic experience in working with spirit in some pretty massive growing pains and how I handle that because I do spiritual development 24/7. What does that mean? Burnout is real and spirit doesn't account for it. For real though. So I'm going to explain a little bit about that and how I handle that and what spirit looks for in negotiation. And yes, I do very actively negotiate with spirit. I believe in it very much, but you do have to have like a spiritual credit line in order to negotiate. That's what I'll say. You have to have a background of being able to prove it to spirit that you'll do the things that spirit needs you to do, which most of which will be in part 1, the part 1 video that I shot, are the core belief systems that need to be anchored in to any spiritual awakening and relationship with spirit. Okay. Also, I'm going to tell you a little bit about spirit because all of the Godheads do this and I think it's hilarious. And I checked in and they gave me a little shit and then they were like, "It's fine, Stormy." They were like, "We love you. Just go be you." I was like, "Okay." So the main source that I channel right now is a version of my Most High in my own energy. And oh my God, sorry for my stuffy nose. And she is the God of the golden ray of creation in the multiverse. The golden ray is knowledge, it's wisdom, it's confidence. And what did I want to say about her? All the Godheads, regardless of who they are, where they are, they don't like they don't mind when I talk back individually. They know me, they love me, but they're always hesitant if I would share that. So like when I thought about it today, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to say this." And they were like, "Put us in a good light, Stormy." And I'm like, "Can I please speak freely as a human? Because you want me to place you in a good light and everyone should go to God regardless. Where else are you going to go? Satan? Like, get over it. Like, of course we're going to go to you, but you're not always the easiest to work with." I'm just tuning in. They said, "Save it for the temple. Make sure you have sacred reverence." That's why they always ask me not to share that, but they're giving me some flexibility today. So you never want to be irreverent towards God because it cuts off your source connection. I have a different relationship. I am walking reverence. So it's not any level of blasphemy because of my relationship. But that's why they're streaming through. They're like, "That's why we tell you not to say it publicly because other people aren't reverent. So you can't be flippant like that." I can be because I honestly, you guys, I'll tell you this in just about every video. I walk the freaking walk and spirit tests the shit out of me in every way possible and all of the worst ways possible because I'm one of those like human guinea pigs. And so anyway, I'm a little more loose with my language with spirit, but generally speaking, you really do need to be very, very, very reverent. My reverence is in my availability to be tested continually by God daily and broken and work through that and heal and trust and move through the whole process that I described in part 1. Okay, I'm getting so distracted that I want lip gloss right now, so you guys are going to have to hang with me for a sec. My lips are dry. Okay. So, oh my gosh, I wanted to tell you the other Godhead. So like, I work with the Golden Ray. That's my main ray. In general, I also work with the Indigo Ray and a bit with the Emerald Ray. For those of you that don't know, just quickly, they're the rays of creation. They are how we move. They're ascension plans, partnerships with God. There are different guardians on each one. They have different priorities. The main three that I work with are emerald, gold, and indigo. Gold is the one I live on, which is it's wisdom. It's wisdom. It's teaching. Okay. Growing pains. Hold on. They're asking me to share something. Let's see. They're teasing this through me, like, why do we want more than you offer sometimes, or more than you've asked for? Like, why do they pull more out of me? Yeah, go ahead. They said, because this is funny. They said because Stormy really is obsessed with and enjoys shaking the whole goddamn apple tree. When Spirit says apple tree, that's wisdom. It's pearls of wisdom. It's spiritual wisdom, knowledge, and awakening. And I love it. It's like the food that I eat. It makes me feel really just happy, satiated on purpose. And you do have to earn wisdom. As I've said in many videos, Spirit requires it. That earning can be done through life experience, or like ultimately it has to be done through life experience. So if you're reaching to Spirit to gain wisdom, then you have to prove that you can embody it in order to have access. Otherwise you get cut off and have to return it karmically. So I love learning spiritually. I love channeling. I love exploration. I love understanding different ways of living that are non-traditional. I love expansion in how I think and feel, and even spiritually, because there are spiritual tracks that we're supposed to behave in certain ways. And I even like challenging those because I just like knowing that something new can be done. So that means they grill me, okay? It's not that I haven't invited it. It's just my way of being. So it's painful. It hurts. And I'm gonna tell you a bit about that because I feel like it's important. I feel like it's important to model and to share, because I think we all have very unrealistic expectations, not just when it comes to spirituality, but when it comes to any level of excellence and performance. And I want to show you what it looks like. And from my heart, I've been in deep pain all day today, for days, weeks. And I don't want to escape it. And I don't think it's necessary. And I thought to myself today, I was like, can I shoot a video from this space? Is that appropriate? And I was like, I don't see why not. I'm just in a different emotional space. Like, I'm not in a performance. I'm not performing for you. I'm literally just showing up. I feel a little down. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm wise as heck. Like, it doesn't change any of the knowledge or wisdom, and it doesn't change my authenticity. Like, I could still show up and share from this place. And tomorrow I'll be in a different place and I'll share from that place. And I think they're all acceptable and beautiful. And I think we could create a culture overall that just embraces more moods, more different aspects of people without making them be perfect or making them perform to perfect their delivery or their presentation. We live in a society, especially in the US, that really heightens like perfection and presentation. And I used to think and believe that way, and I just don't anymore. I just don't. And I also value people's content more that show up where they are on the day-to-day basis. And if they're a little cranky, they show it. If they're a little soft, they show it. If they're strong, they show it. And I love that. I love seeing real humans. And I think that's where we're going with social media trends. I think that's where we're going with our future in general. So I'm here for it. So you get to see the burnt out version of me. Which, honest to God, the burnt out version of me is probably like still somebody else's 100%. I'm not going to lie. But it still hurts. It's still painful. So, and I also want to describe this from the position of understanding that, like, no matter where you are in your spiritual awakening, it's not going to be painful. Growth is painful. Like, if you ever see your kids, like they're growing, like some of that growing hurts, man. Like your bones are actually like developing. Ouch! You know? Like what? So, oh gosh. Also, I want to say spiritually, there's like two strategies too that I want to talk about. Spirit doesn't know always how to meet the human. Oh my gosh, my nose is getting stuffed again. There's like, spirit just gives spiritual insight. But I've been trying to educate spirit, and really this needs to be done on a one-to-one basis because spirit just tackles human. Spirit is not human. Source is not human. So they don't know how to handle human stuff. That needs to be handled by humans. So I educate spirit a lot. There are two types of ways of doing things spiritually. There's spiritual practice, spiritual leap, spiritual growth for normal humans that come from some level of stability. And then there's spiritual growth and spiritual practice for traumatized humans. Humans that have encountered a lot of trauma in their lives. And they're very different practices. So if we take the normal standard practices I went through in part 1 with you guys and apply it to the trauma, like people that have encountered a lot of trauma, it takes 10 times more effort to leap when you have serious trauma in your background. It takes 10 times more effort to trust. So what I've been trying to work through with spirit, with my clients, with me understanding humanity, because I'm one of those ambassadors that can speak back and forth, is that not all humans should be treated equally with that. Some that struggle a lot more spiritually are struggling because they've encountered a lot of relationship trauma that translates to God trauma. Your relationship with humans also translates to relationship with source. And when you're handling, is what I tell source, my godheads, is I'm like, when you're handling humans that have much more trauma in their background, I'm like, please, you have to be more lenient with how they trust. And the trust needs to be developed differently because spirit will just like, spirit will just be the bird that just kicks you out of the nest. Like, baby bird, time to fly. Like, let me punch you out of the nest. And that can be really traumatic. For someone that's already encountered a lot of trauma, that could be the very thing that sets them off in a way that they can't recover from. And this is what I've spent the last couple of years like describing back and forth in my channels with God Source, where I'm just like, I hear this stuff, but they can't be judged in the same way that you're judging normal humans. And I don't even want to call them normal, but people that haven't experienced significant trauma. It's like being trauma informed in therapy. Like I believe in being trauma informed spiritually, and spirit doesn't know how to work this way because spirit doesn't have the psychology of a human. Only humans have psychologies of humans, understanding of it. So I extend that to spirit. And the way that I work with people is I'm like, we need to build trust in a way that helps you to remember how to trust from the place of being trauma informed if you have encountered a lot of trauma, which most people that I've worked with have. And or my approach tends to help them really expedite their process because it's so secure. So what's involved when someone needs more trauma-informed coaching spiritually? What's involved is me going back and forth with spirit going, I know you're telling them to leap. I know you're telling them to make the jump, make the move, just do it. But they've got trauma in their background. And that might be the very thing that lands them in another toxic relationship at 6 months. Or that steers them to be maybe borderline suicidal or what have you. Like this stuff is razor sharp. Like spirit will get you out of the frying pan and into the fire. And it's just spirit's job to get you to leap. Like, okay, jump, jelly bean, jump. Like, I don't know. Like Jack and the Beanstalk, you know? And actually they're giving me that reference, Jack and the Beanstalk. It's like, you got these magic beans. You got the magic beans. And they grow and then you start to climb. They want you to climb. But it's often hard for us. So my relationship with spirit is no longer these drastic jumps. I really like hunker down and argue with spirit. And I'm like, and this is because of my proven track record. I'm like, I promise my ego's not in the way. I have a steep background of trauma. If I do the jump that you are asking me to make and just leap, I am going to hurt myself. I'm going to encounter burnout, and I don't know that I can make it through the next phase. I'm very good at pacing myself. I make big changes and big leaps all the time. And I'm very stable about how I do it. And that's how I can coach so well and help people through massive transitions, like very difficult transitions, and enable them to be really smooth, is because I understand this process. I've really worked it through. Typically, spirit would argue with, especially a newbie on that, and be like, no, make the leap. We told you, your ego needs to take a back seat. But if you have a lot of trauma in your background, it's not the ego as much as it is the mental framework is in support usually of some level of like, what is the next step securely? Like I need some sort, I tell spirit all the time, I'm like, I hear you. This is not my ego because we've had this conversation. You know that you've broken me a million times and I've proved it however many times, that I can get out of my way of my ego. This is me looking out for my mental framework so I stay sane. And so I stay safe during a spiritual awakening, which is not the case for everyone. Sometimes people make big leaps. They end up in mental institutions. They end up sick and unhealthy. They end up in hospitals, or they like lose their jobs and stuff because they can't think straight. Because when we're dealing with spiritual expansion, there's a real mental expansion that comes with that you have to make space for and pace. You have to pace it, because if your mind breaks, you are at a severe disadvantage and in danger in every way. That's something that I've worked really hard at, is pacing myself through every expansion to maintain the container of my mental framework and my understanding of who I am, the context of what I'm moving through, the context of my identity in the moment, what Spirit's asking me to do, and whether or not I feel safe about it. When you move past that mental framework, you start questioning your reality to a point that often comes with the thought of what's the point? That's what I'll say. I hear that one a lot. What's the point? Throw me off a cliff, all right? It's like, once you get to the what's the point territory, like what's the point of being incarnated, you got to back it up. You expanded a little too fast. The spirit doesn't know how to tell you that because spirit doesn't have human psychology. All right. Get some good coaches and therapists around you in general, because you need to maintain your mental framework. And this is why, like, this is my burnout state, which no one would know because I'm well functioning. It's not a typical like burnout because I know how to maintain myself, but I am exhausted. And they're real growing pains. I had a conversation with my higher channel today, and they were like, okay, this is how you're going to leap. Like this is the big move you need to make next, like where you're going, what you're doing. And growth and leaps are a way of life for me, but I slowed myself down. They were like, these are just growing pains, Stormy. They're just growing pains. And I was like, I hear you, but I can feel my body and I can feel my mental framework and I can feel my nervous system. And I was like, I can't handle it. And I was like, normally through my whole life, I have been all ahead full. I will always take the leaps. I will do them without even asking questions. And my heart has been so broken and so traumatized. Not that it's not functioning, it's doing its thing. But I just don't have it. I just don't have it. Spirit didn't know that until I started describing it. I was like, I don't have that power left. I don't have that excitement to make the leap in the way I could have a year ago or 2 years ago. And I was like, I'm not telling you, this is literally my conversation with Spirit, my channel. I was like, I'm not telling you I won't make the leap. I'm telling you that I need you to trust me and my egoic mental framework a little bit, because I know my limitations as a human, my true limitations. not the ego's like forcing limitations on the experience, just as like fear-based maneuver. My guides were like, you're functioning out of fear. And I was like, you misunderstand me. I have significant trauma. And I'm not using it as a trophy. I literally had a conversation with Spirit where I was like, you have made me break every relationship. You have broken my heart too many times. It's not one, it's not occasionally once a year. It's like every 2 months. I'm like, I have done everything you've asked me to do. I am reverent. I am sacred. I am here for this. But this is officially too much. I'm going to cry even saying it. Like, it's officially too much for my body. It's officially too much for my mind. It's officially too much for my heart. I can't even carry my own heart. Like, I know they're growing pains, and I'm just being vulnerable and transparent because I'm willing to be this with you guys. But it's like, it never stops. Some of us are on real fast tracks. I'm one of those, and I have to defend myself so much and protect myself because of the amount of animosity that comes towards me, the amount of hatred that I have to deal with in my personal life, and just like curses, shitty karma. Not my shitty karma, just like other people with personality disorders projecting their shit on me, which is bypassing for them, but I have to deal with it. It feels so good, by the way, to just like not give a F about how you guys see me. Not meaning like you'll see me negatively, like I don't have a negative judgment. Oh my God, I'm literally gonna cry. My nose is getting stuffed because of it. It just feels good to be raw. Like, it feels good to be seen. Because even as I was describing this to my spirit guides while I was having coffee, and they were like, we hear you, sweetheart. And they were like, this would be a great conversation for other humans to witness because spirit can't do much with this right now. And I was like, what? And they were like, that's why you struggle with us, because you need the human connection. This is human speak. Humans give wisdom to other humans. This is my wisdom for you. This is what it is to do heavy spiritual work. It's borderline dangerous. I handle it very well. I teach it in a very paced way, a very well way. But Spirit's not been easy with me. And Spirit knows that. And I'll explain a little bit about that as well. We would call this post-traumatic growth. I'm accustomed to it in all of my seasons. I take people through it as well. It's as traumatizing as it is to be in a traumatic event. And where did I want to go? Here's something I heard a couple days ago. This is like, I'm really just busting through my previous existing beliefs spiritually on what's possible for me and how I can grow. And I'm starting to pace myself differently. I'm not growing with as much power. I don't have it. God knows I don't have it. But for you guys to know, you can allow yourself to expand wherever you are. It'll be perfect wherever you are. So I'm used to exerting a lot more power, and I like that version of myself the most. And I feel really weak. I'm really vulnerable constantly now because I'm at my capacity. And this is where most people break. Because I'm so knowledgeable about this process, I've been working it for so many years and I'm such an expert in it. I'm like, it doesn't need to break. I just need to create a new system. I need to like handle my life a little differently. I need to allow my lifestyle to meet me where I am now because I don't have as much powerful capacity as I used to. And it's not to say it won't come later. Maybe it'll come in a month or 6 months or a year. But right now, this is where I am, and I still have to sustain what works for me. So what my high channel said to me the other day, I was like lying in my bed, probably crying, but just like not aggressively, like just like gentle tears. because my nervous system's been fried. And my Most High God said, "Are you relaxed right now?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Is this your state when you are weak?" She said, she said, "How weak do you feel? Do you feel weak?" And that was her, those were her phrases. And I said, "Yeah." I was like, I feel totally weak. And she monitored my energy. She said, "Is this your weakest state? Would you say this is your weakest state?" And I was like, "Yes, I would." And she said, "Oh dear God." She was like, "Stormy, we would have allowed you to express weakness months ago." I'm not lying when I tell you guys I'm held to like the absolute highest standards for strength. And it was a wake-up moment for me. It's why I'm shooting this video. I'm like, oh, I'm weak and I'm still ridiculously high functioning. Like, I can allow myself to be weak. like what? I can lower my own cortisol levels and just accept that you guys might see me on some of these videos running at a 4 out of 10 instead of at a 10 out of 10. And is that okay for me? I'm like, well, I'm still sharing amazing knowledge. I'm still sharing authenticity. I'm still present. I'm available. I love you. I'm here. But, you know, different phase, different chapter, different day, different moment, different mood. Like, I got to handle it differently to show up. And I want to show up. This is not stressful for me at all. I love shooting these videos and I want to be here for them. I just didn't want to have to overperform because I don't have the energy. And I'm like, that's okay. It's okay. It's kind of like having race days and then like active recovery days. You know, this is like my active recovery. I'm not performing at all. I'm literally just here. And I'm like, oh, it feels different and I really like it. So I hope you guys do too. Also, let's talk about God's insatiable needs for my strength daily. I think it's insane. I'm here for it because it's like, it's made me so strong. But I'm also like, I like knock up there. I'm like, do you have any idea the standards you hold me to? They're insane. Literally. This would break anyone else. So anyway. What else do I want to say? I want to talk a little bit about spiritual negotiation. And I'm sorry, I started crying, so my nose got all... It's stuffed, I'm sorry. So Spirit's kind of like a hype man. So when Spirit sees a new leap, Spirit has such urgency behind it. Spirit will be like, you need to do this now. You know, whether it's Storm that I'm channeling, whether it's the different Most Highs, they all want things done now. Now. It's urgent. Make the leap now. Make the change now. Commit now. It's kind of exhausting, but I've gotten used to it. It's like, this should have been done yesterday. You know, if you work with like high level clients. That's my agency work when I ran a marketing agency. It's like, I need this done yesterday. Spirit's not like that. Spirit's like, do it now, do it now, do it now. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But like, Spirit feels like a hype man. Spirit will come to me and be like, oh my gosh, okay, we have this new plan. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what this person's going to do with this person. And this is what we need you to embody and embrace and move through and integrate. We need you to do all of this right now so that we can shift all of your energy. Okay? Okay, it's going to be great. This happens to me like daily. They change my life path like daily. And today when it happened, I went, whoa. I was like, I do not have the energy for this. I normally would be on board. But my heart's like having trouble. It's like the energy of my heart. And I told Spirit, I said, my body can't make these huge leaps anymore. I don't have the power. And I was like, I'm not telling you I won't leap. I'm just telling you my ego needs to be a little bit more involved so that I could plan steps and a mental framework to account for me being trauma informed to myself, knowing my own capacity based on where I am right now. So now I just make steady climbs instead of like crazy leaps. So I said to Spirit, I said to my channel, I said, I need rehabilitation. I was like, I will agree to the things you're saying you need me to do. I said, but I need rehabilitation. I was like, I am injured, like mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. And I was like, I need you. I'm so clear with God. Like, I'm so clear with Spirit. I'm so clear with the people around me. You have to speak your needs. Otherwise, nobody knows what's going on. I told Spirit in my channel, I said, I need you to take that leap, take it from me, reorganize it, and bring it back to me with a plan for rehabilitation. I said, I need you to plan for my rehabilitation because I can't make that leap from my current state. I need to be in recovery. And you know what she said to me? This shit drives me nuts, you guys. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. She said, I can't do that. That's what marriage is designed for. She said, you need human rehabilitation. And I was like, can you tell my guides have been like pushing me into relationships? Like, they've been pushing. And I'm like, I was like, that's nice. But like, I was like, why can't Spirit do this? Anyway, if I was feeling a little bit better, I'd be a little more comical around that. Like, that's what marriage is designed for. That's what Spirit said to me. But it opened up my awareness to realize, like, Spirit is not human. Spirit can tell us spiritual growth plans, and it's important we stick to them. But human wisdom is absolutely irreplaceable. And Spirit doesn't have it. Like, I literally asked Spirit, I was very clear. I was like, I need that, but on a rehabilitation plan with a new timeline. What does that look like? And it's almost like Spirit stopped dead in their tracks across all of my guides. And they were like, actually, we don't know. We don't know. And I was like, well, I was like, all right. So there's Spirit's plan for leaping, and then there's like human plan for how we actually manage and pace ourselves, because Spirit doesn't know how to pace us. Spirit doesn't know how to keep our mental framework together so we stay sane through the process. Once you break your mental construct, it's very difficult to pace your life. This is something that's been really, really important to me through the years. I think because I had exposure to family and friends going into mental institutions for having nervous breakdowns early in my life. So, and I remembered that. So whenever I expanded, I would cradle my mind. And I would learn to reframe and develop and not handle more than I could handle, so that my mind would be kept safe through the process. Because once the mind breaks, like, that's a long recovery. It's a long recovery process. It sets you back. And that's what I've been trying to say to Spirit. I've been educating Spirit. I'm like, can you start to consider humans' needs with their mental construct, their psychology, their physical bodies? Because when we take these big spiritual leaps, they don't know, they're not always safe mentally, emotionally, or physically. Sometimes we get injured in the process. And Spirit was like, that's what humans are for. That's what human relationships are for. And that's why we're meant to have either coaches, therapists, lovers, spouses, family, what have you, around you to help support in this way. The issue that I've encountered is that most people do not know how to support. So I don't know. We need to develop a culture that Comes back to some sort of a village unit that shares more and that understands expansion spiritually, where it's normalized. Like questioning your reality, changing your identity, changing your state of mind. That should all be very normal. It's not, but it should be. So those are my thoughts. I'm sorry for my little sicky stuffed nose. Thank you for witnessing me. Thank you for listening to me. It's very humbling, like, to share just human instinct, human knowledge, my human wisdom. And nobody taught me any of this shit, by the way. Nobody taught me this. Not a therapist, not a coach. This is my human wisdom, which is understanding trust leaps from experiencing a lot of trauma, understanding heart-based trauma, understanding when the heart can't take anymore. And it doesn't mean that you don't leap. It doesn't mean that you don't make the change. It doesn't mean that you don't shift your identity. It doesn't mean you don't enter or exit the relationships. It doesn't mean anything. It just means we need to change your approach. That is a lot of my wisdom. It's how I do a lot of my maintenance on myself and why I perform at such high levels of excellence under significant amounts of pressure, regardless, all the time, 24/7, is because I meet the conditions. I change my approach based on the conditions. So if the conditions change, I meet it with new ways of getting the needs met through simplification, through minimalism, through understanding priorities, understanding the 80-20 Pareto's principle, which is like 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. I'm constantly practicing minimalism. And then like re-identifying my expectations of how I show up. So maybe some of you hate this, probably not. I mean, I know the people that love me on here. You guys will be like, oh my gosh, we're so happy you shared this part of you too. Like, I don't have to be in high performance. This is also high performance. It just feels emotionally low for me, but it's just as authentic. And because of this emotional state, I'm sharing something that is actually really deep on my heart. It's something I've been practicing for a long time. It's like real authentic wisdom from me, which are these understanding these spiritual growing pains, how to move through them, and having this dialogue with spirit. Understanding the differences between an ego that's clinging and an ego that's actually part of the mental framework, looking out for your pacing. Because if you outpace yourself too much, too fast, you can hurt yourself. And once you hurt yourself, now you're in recovery, rehabilitation, and it takes longer to get back to your normal state if you can even get back there. And sometimes we can't. Sometimes the heart is so broken that it's like, oh, you're functioning on 10%, like for moving forward. Like, okay, like we need to work with that. We need to find a way to get the most out of that capacity and ease the stress and the effort on the heart, which I think is where I'm at right now. I'm like, I can't do the heavy lifting that I used to do emotionally. A lot of people are like this mentally. If you have a lot of God trauma, this will translate spiritually. And then you guys can think about it like, if you get a physical injury, how long does it take to recover? Are you doing PT? What exercises can you handle? You need to rebuild the muscles, right? But slowly, not too much. You can't stress the body out too much, but enough. So I try to teach spirit this because I've been through this so many times. I've got enough injuries because spirit needed me to get through certain criteria. It just had to happen. It had to happen. Like, it's just who I am. It's me plus the environment, plus the needs of community, plus karmic circumstances, plus the most insane family I could have possibly been born into, plus a lot of hatred, plus a little bit of love, plus a lot of self-love. I'm not gonna lie, that's what gets me through everything. And I hope that for you guys too, because I know people don't practice it that often. Like, I love myself so much. I love myself so much to show you this process. So that's what I've got. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for witnessing my human. And leave me a comment below if you made it to the end and if you relate to anything. And I will see you guys soon. Peace.